this. You're coming home from school, it's the early 2000s, you run straight to your family computer, log on to an online virtual world, start talking to people of a similar age group, dressing up your characters, playing fun mini games, and life is good. But what happened to all those online virtual worlds, and what are kids doing now? Hi! My name is Jaden, and I make commentary videos on culture and media and kind of whatever's going on in the world that I feel like yapping about. And today I wanted to talk about online virtual worlds because I was so into these sites as a kid, and it kind of breaks my heart that they are no longer relevant, and I looked forward to going on these websites all the time. A few standout sites I would frequent as a kid were Barbie Girls. Oh my gosh, okay. I feel like nobody talks about Barbie Girls, and that was my jam. I was so sad when it shut down because it was my bread and butter. I love that game so much. There was also a site called Dizzywood. I have 100% never met someone other than me and my siblings who played Dizzywood to the point I thought we imagined it, but no, it was real. I double checked online. It was a thing. And it was a fun, adventure world as well. So opposed to just, dress up and, making your characters look pretty, it was more so an adventure-y world where you would go on, little quests. It was kind of like an MMO, but definitely more, kid-friendly and cutesy. And, of course, Webkinz as well. We all remember Webkinz. I'm sure if you grew up in the 2000s, you had a huge collection of Webkinz as well. You would go on every day, spin the wheel of WoW, play with your Webkinz, and Neopets! Neopets! I love Neopets as well. What a classic. Times were so good back then. Virtual worlds started to kind of pop up around the late 90s, early 2000s era, and it was kind of a mix of social networking with peers around your same age group, mini games, dress up, creativity, and it was just overall really fun space to be. And so many kids were on all these websites, just making friends and decorating their characters, playing little games, and you could be on these websites for hours. It was honestly the best time ever. So I picked out 3 little games here to kind of talk about. First is Barbie Girls, because I love Barbie Girls. It came out in 2007 apparently. Wow. That's wild. Essentially, you could create fashionable avatars, and you could decorate your virtual room. I think at one point you could get a pet as well. And then you could also buy the actual, they had physical Barbie girls. They had a USB, and you could plug them into a computer, and then that character would show up in the game. It was so good. Oh my gosh. Stardoll in 2004. This one was really fun. It was a fashion kind of game as well, where you could dress up avatars, design clothes, and I think you could enter them into contests as well and vote on the best dress. I might be mixing it up with a different game, but I'm pretty sure this was the game. And I remember you had fake money and you could spend it. Webkinz, of course. Webkinz is iconic. You had, your virtual pet, but you needed to get a physical plushie that would have a little code on its neck that you would enter into the website to create your online avatar of your pet. You could dress up your pet. There was all these fun games. There were so many fun games. I think about Smoothie Moves. Honestly, on the daily, that was my game. I loved Smoothie Moves. And you could spin the wheel of WoW, and it was just a really fun little world. Oh my gosh. And then there was also the interactive games as well that you could play with other people. I remember playing Battleship a lot, and you could play with other people, and you could invite friends to play as well. Oh, it was so good. Wait, I just remembered one more. Trolls with a Z. Does anyone else remember Trolls with a Z? Trolls, it's a hair thin, it's a big thin, music, fashion, magic. Welcome to the Trolls world. Grab your laptop, get your makeup, come and have some fun, yeah! Trolls was great as well. Something I loved about the Trolls games as well was you could cast spells and hexes on other people's accounts, and this is really funny. Okay, so side story. So, me and my sisters, we grew up in an overly religious household, right? To the point where crop tops and mini skirts were considered Satan, right? So, me and my sisters would break into other characters, like other people, like real people's accounts, and we would delete all their mini skirts and all their crop tops, and then we would cast spells on them to make their characters bald because we thought they were possessed by the devil. Oh my gosh. That is a core memory. I need to message my sisters and see if they remember this, because that was actually great. When I think about the online, like, virtual worlds geared towards, like, tweens and kids, it kind of resembles, like, a third place in a way, because they were geared towards kids that were, like, a little bit too young to kind of go out and hang out with their friends alone, like at the mall, which unfortunately is no longer as popular as it used to be for teens and kids to hang out on. And you could be online any time of the day, and you can meet people from around the world. It was just kind of like a cute social networking, and it would keep you entertained, as well as like fun games and like daily prizes. It was just like a lot of fun, and it was really sweet and wholesome. What did make virtual games so popular though? Because like they were insanely popular, like hardcore. Like everyone was playing them. They had thousands of users online constantly. Why were they so popular? Well, one of the things I saw here says that it was mostly the games that were integrated with real life toys. Think Pixel Chicks, Webkinz, Barbie Girls. They had the actual connection of you have a physical toy and then you have the virtual version of your toy. So you would have two different forms of play where you could either play imaginary, like imagination, creative, like yourself, whatever, with the actual toy. And then if you wanted kind of more of the social aspect with other people and to play fun little mini games and like stimulate your little childhood brain, you could go on the actual website and play with it there. Or if like you got in trouble and your parents said you weren't allowed to use the computer anymore, at least you would have your toy and you could play with that. Oh, that's cute. I just read something here that says these worlds were like a digital playground for people. That's kind of really cute. Aww. So it says here that community was a big reason for virtual worlds to become popular. It was one of the first spaces where kids and teens could interact online, whether it was traded clothes on Stardoll or hosting parties in Barbie Girls. The worlds felt like a digital extension of a playground. You could also, oh yeah, a lot of virtual worlds as well. You would have in-person accessories that you could buy to become in-game accessories as well. So I think that would be another pretty big aspect that would keep people going back onto the website, especially if they were toys connected to these websites. Then if there was a new release, you wanted to have them on your online collection as well. What is the sun doing? Hello, sun. Nice of you to show up in January. That's pretty rare. Maybe it's because I'm wearing a sun-covered shirt. I brought the sun. Thinking about, though, that point I just mentioned, not all of these websites, I don't think, actually had physical, like, toys connected to them. At least for some of them. Because I remember there was this website called Second Life, and then there was also, what was it called? Was it called Maggie? Maggie? Something like that. I'll put it up on the screen. I don't recall these ever having merch, or if they did, then it just wasn't in Canada. But they were just fun, and I'm pretty sure it was also an aspect of like the dailies you could get and the little prizes, and you know, you would make friends on these websites as well, and you would have different people you could talk to and bond with. So why did virtual worlds decline? Unfortunately, by the mid-2010s, a lot of them started to shut down. Sad, honestly. I remember when Disneywood in particular shut down, me and my sister were like in tears, and we were like, it's gone forever, we'll never get to play again. We had so many side quests we had to finish. And then also with Barbie Girls shut down, I was so distraught. Side note, I just remembered another game, UB Funkies. Please tell me, someone here, like, please comment if you had a UB Funky and if you were in the UB Funkies world, because that was so much fun. It was like a little, like, adventure-y, like, sci-fi, kind of like fight it. Oh my gosh, it was so cute. And they were like USBs, and you could plug them in. Oh my gosh. I'm just really happy about this topic, because this was like my prime childhood. I really lived on so many different virtual websites. Probably because I was homeschooled and had no social life, and for me that was the only way I could talk to people other than like my siblings. Anyways, smartphones. they became way more high tech in the 2010s, and that's when you could start to get more mobile games, which unfortunately started to push the like online virtual world games out of the way, because now you could play on the mobile, you could go anywhere you wanted, you didn't have to be at home on your computer playing things. Hello, Tiki. Hello. Feels so special. All my cats have come up to say hi today. You can't see it, but Gojo's napping beside me on the bed. Tabitha was here at the start of my video. And now sweet little Tiki's here. Hello. Oh yes, social media as well, because 2010s, that's kind of when Instagram and Snapchat started to become a thing, and the kids in those demographics that were playing these online worlds were getting older. They started to, you know, like when you start to get older and you're like, ew, that's childish, I don't want to be associated with it anymore, gross. A lot of kids go through that phase, and then obviously as they get older, they reminisce over it because we are all old and depressed now, but you know, you go through a phase as a kid where you really want to grow up and not associate with anything kiddie or childish. So when these social media apps came out, people were like, oh my gosh, this is way more cool and mature than going to Neopets or Webkinz. I'm gonna go on there. With a lot of people and kids kind of migrated more towards their phones and using mobile game apps or just using social media, it did bring less traffic onto these websites, and hosting a website is an expense. It costs money to have a website, especially something so interactive. They probably had a ton of coders, HTMLs or whatever's kind of running the website. They had to pay all the people, they had to do constant updates. But with the amount of people not going on it, they couldn't really afford to keep up anymore. And with how much technology did advance, graphics can kind of age out, and then you kind of have to update those, and it just becomes really expensive. And if you don't have enough people on said platform, they're not going to earn enough money to actually keep up with running it. There's also the competition aspect of other games, and like think about Steam for an example. You can just create a Steam account and buy any game in the Steam library, and a lot of those are online interactive. They are also geared towards an older... Aw, Tiki, I love you. He's making biscuits behind me. Sweet boy. Yeah, so you could go on Steam and buy whatever games you want in your Steam library, and they are geared towards an older audience. A lot of them have more violence and more like plot and stories, but they're still interactive. You can still have that social aspect while playing games that are more geared towards your age demographic. And then, of course, a lot of these were run on Flash as well. And Flash isn't really a thing anymore. They retired. You can't play any Flash games without some kind of a, not a mod, what's the word I'm thinking of? Emulator. You can't really play any Flash games without getting an emulator now, and it's honestly exhausting to try to even figure out how to get that to work. Safety concerns were another big issue that caused the fall of the child demographic online worlds, because there are creeps out there, and letting children who don't know stranger danger just on the internet talking to random people, they might accidentally say where they live, they might share too much information, they might think that they're talking to someone that's their own age and turns out to be some creep. You never know, and parents aren't able to 24/7 monitor everything their kids do online unless they're literally sitting right beside them, looking over their shoulder. And kids don't want that. The parents don't have time to do that. It just wasn't overall that safe. And online safety is still a pretty big concern, like even in 2025. So I can definitely understand why that was a pretty big factor as well. That doesn't go without saying that all virtual worlds are completely gone. Like I mentioned, MMOs and RPG games are still very big, and there still is a very big gaming community. It's just no longer the cute, fun, little colorful, dress-up, flash animated games anymore. There's still more like kid-geared games like Minecraft, Roblox, Fortnite, that toilet thing. Is that a game or is that a show? I don't know. Five Nights at Freddy's, I think that's for kids. I don't know. I'm too scared of it, so I don't think it's child friendly because I'm scared of it and I'm a 23-year-old woman, but I'm also a wimp, so. But it's just unfortunate that those fun, cute, especially the fun like little girly sites, because I was so into those. I've always been a dress-up person, you know, and do little makeovers. They were just so fun, and I really do miss those. But at the end of the day, technology advances, people grow up, you're raised in different environments, you're around different influences, and your tastes change as you get older as well. Since social media became so popular, the younger generation below Gen Z, what is that, Gen Alpha, they, instead of growing up on cute little websites like Webkinz, they started off right on TikTok, which is what they're used to, and in the future, that's going to be the kind of stuff they're reminiscing over, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, remember the TikTok days? That was so fun. We don't have anything like that anymore. And then just gaming in general, like I mentioned, that's evolved quite a lot. Overall interests for people just don't really align with what they used to, and there's nothing wrong with that. People are always changing and growing. Every generation's going to have a different experience and a different upbringing. Like, cavemen as an example, they've never experienced virtual worlds either, and then they kind of over time grew into what we are. The 90s kids didn't really have that experience. It's more of like the kids in the 2000s when technology kind of started to become more of a thing. Now it's more advanced, so the younger kids start with whatever the current advancement is, and then that's what they kind of grow up with, and that's what becomes nostalgic for them. Online virtual worlds will always have a special place in my heart and many other people's hearts, I am sure. They were a great experience, and they are definitely a positive memory for a lot of people. It was a fun time. It was good. I'm glad we got that experience. I'm glad that, like, if you go on Reddit, people will still talk about their experiences on these games, how much they love them, and how much they wish they could just go back and play them. It was a really special time, and I'm glad I got to be a part of that. I don't know, I feel like they were a good way for, at least for my young brain, to kind of find a sense of self, community, like-minded people, express myself by dressing up my characters, decorating my characters' rooms, playing fun little games, and kind of seeing what games I enjoyed. It was just a fun time, and I'll miss those days, but I do understand that technology changes over time, and it's just not what people are into anymore, and that's okay. Do you have a favorite virtual game back in the 2000s? If so, let me know which game it was in the comments down below. I would love to know, and also I would love to know if it was a game that I mentioned, or if it's something I didn't mention. Feel free to comment it below and let me know what your favorite game was. I can almost guarantee I probably played it. I played everything. I was obsessed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! Aw, Chicky, you're so cute! I love him. I love my kitties.